3i Atlas. New information and updates today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Rex Bear, Leak Project. How the heck are you? Hope your day's going fantastic. Finally got some blue skies out here, but that is not what we're here to talk about. We're going to get into the latest with 3i Atlas. Also, where's all the images? And where's all the images of Oumuamua, the first interstellar object that we recorded in our solar system? We have a couple of dots from telescopes and artist renditions of flying space turds. It's really weird. You would think we would have more footage of not only 3i Atlas, but Oumuamua. We're going to talk about that. Also, a UFO tracking app that's logged over 30,000 UAP sightings globally. Over 9,000 of these UAPs are within 10 miles off U.S. coastlines or major bodies of water. That's pretty cool. And for those of you that are on food benefits, this isn't good news. Food benefits are going to be halted November 1st. Over 41 million people are going to be affected on SNAP. And I wonder, this is just speculation here, but could some of these deployments of National Guard in large cities be more than meets the eye? Could there be a connection there? We're going to talk about that. And potential war in Venezuela, it's getting close. Major U.S. military buildup. Hurricane Melissa, Cat 5, could be the biggest storm to ever hit Jamaica. And mysterious planes are scanning homes with lasers. Seriously. Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about it. So buckle up, buttercups. Let's go. And also, would you do me a favor and hit the bell here on YouTube to make sure you get all notifications? Hopefully, they'll send you notifications. Fingers crossed. And jump on over to our Rumble page, if you would, please, and subscribe to our Rumble page. It'll take you 90 seconds, and it's totally free. Okay, and we're on Patreon. We have exclusive content on Patreon. If you can kick down a few bucks on Patreon as a premier member, you're going to get access to thousands of hours of exclusive content, unedited, uncensored, long format interviews with amazing guests. We have a library that goes back almost 10 years of incredible interviews with amazing people. You're only going to find it on our leakproject.com page and our Patreon page. And a quick shameless plug to boomerboost.com. Get some. The stuff is amazing. They could call it Gen X Boost. The stuff is literally amazing. I take it every single day. Unless I'm out, then I order more. With the Gladiator barley, a scoop of the Gladiator barley, a scoop of the Boomer Boost, mix it up, drink it. I feel amazing. Read the testimonials. You'll thank me later. If you use the code LEAK20, you'll get a 20% discount. So use the code LEAK20 at boomerboost.com. You can even call them, talk to them in person. They're very friendly, very knowledgeable, and let them know what you want, and maybe they can help. boomerboost.com. Okay, thank you for listening to the quick shameless plugs. I really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you being here with me. Be the change you want to see. That's our motto here at Leak Project, and I'll share with you our other motto here in just a minute. But let's get into this. Let's look at the latest information we have on 3i Atlas right now. Thank you for staying with me. So there's a lot of clickbait. There's a lot of clickbait in the news, some fascinating clickbait in the news. But a lot of these articles that are coming out today and yesterday, they're just regurgitating information that we've already shared with you. Here's an example right here. Terrifying update on mysterious object aiming at Earth that Harvard scientist claims is not natural. We've gone over that with you, as well as this one. Theorists shocked after a hidden object appears behind or beside the sun. They're talking about 3i Atlas right there. Here's what is new. This is hot off the press, and NASA has came up with they've got a new web page here, and it's Eyes on the Solar System, 3i Atlas C 2025 N1. You can see it's in real time here, and they're showing us the orbit of 3i Atlas. I don't know if this is what they think it looks like, or if they're just trying to show us this really cool space rock with a couple of craters, an artist intelligent, like an artificial intelligence rendition or an artist rendition. But this is the orbit of 3i Atlas here. Let's zoom out so you can see Comet 3i Atlas. There's the tail. Here's the orbit. And you can see it's in between the orbit of Mars and Earth right now. It's in between the orbit of Mars and Earth. So let's take a look at this. The Europa Clipper and the Hera spacecraft are in a position to potentially pass through the tail of the Comet 3i Atlas, while Europa Clipper has the instruments to analyze the tail particles. Hera is currently on its way to study an asteroid and may not be as helpful as the JUICE spacecraft. It's juiced up. It's also going to get a close look at the comet, and the Lucy mission might also get a glimpse. Now, the Europa Clipper, this NASA spacecraft, is on a mission to study Jupiter's moon Europa and has instruments that could analyze the particles in 3i Atlas's tail. Then we've got Hera, the ESA spacecraft, JUICE, which is also an ESA spacecraft, Lucy, which is the NASA's mission currently studying Jupiter's Trojan asteroids, could also have an opportunity to observe 3i Atlas, as well as NASA's Hubble and Webb telescopes, along with other missions, are also observing the comet. So this is literally what we're being given right now. NASA, they're sharing with us little bits and little pieces, but they're not giving us the high-rise imaging, which I find very peculiar. We should definitely be seeing that high-rise footage from the high-rise satellite as it passed Mars earlier this month. They're still holding off on that. But you know what? Check this out. This is from spaceweather.com. This is pretty cool. So a CME that left the sun during the late hours of October 23rd might reach Earth this week. NASA models suggest a direct hit October 26th and 27th. So that's yesterday and today, bringing a chance of minor G1 class geomagnetic storms. This is a low confidence forecast. But here is what I wanted to share with you about 3i Atlas from spaceweather.com. Comet 3i Atlas is not hiding from Earth. This week, the internet is buzzing with headlines like mysterious object is up to no good while it's hidden behind the sun. They are referring to interstellar comet 3i Atlas. Harvard astronomer Avi Loeb and others have suggested it might be a spaceship deliberately hiding from humans. There's just one problem with this argument. We can still see it from Earth. Well, you can't unless you've got access to this. But for example, the CCOR-1 coronagraph onboard NOAA's GOES-19 satellite is tracking the comet and monitoring its brightness. Well, share with us some of that footage, will you? This is the date or the dates and the line of observation. So it should be right around here now, potentially. Now, the amateur astronomer Warachat Boonplod found, that's a pretty cool, interesting name, pretty cool, found the comet in CCOR-1 data. NASA's quartet of Punch spacecraft and coronagraphs on board the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, SOHO, is constantly observing 3i Atlas, as you can see right here. So this is what they're showing us. Not much for high resolution, but we're getting little bits and pieces here. Tracking the comet is not easy because it's so faint. Badams explains how it's done. Objects at their threshold of detection, like 3i Atlas, are a challenge for coronagraphs. We often have to employ image stacking techniques for this to work. We have to have a very precise understanding of the pointing and distortion of the telescopes. Exactly, because if we don't, and if we see a lot of noise pollution around these images, oftentimes people will speculate that noise pollution is some type of other craft or other objects around 3i Atlas, and oftentimes they're not. Now, there are certain circumstances where they could potentially be, but the majority of the time when people see these anomalies around these objects, it's from distortion. Not always, but we can find the exact pixels, nanu, that correspond to the comet. It gets fiddly, but we make it work. If 3i Atlas changes direction or surges in brightness, we will know. So far, it's acting like a comet, they say. T. Marshall Eubanks from Space Initiatives Incorporated assembled this light curve, including recent data from CCOR-1 and Punch. So currently, they're saying the data confirms that 3i Atlas is following a fairly standard model of comet brightness with contributions from gas and dust. If this is a spacecraft, it is wearing an uncanny disguise. Now, in December, 3i Atlas will emerge from the glare of the sun. Telescopes on Earth's surface can then rejoin the monitoring efforts. And their bet is they're going to see a comet, not a spaceship. So stay tuned. We're going to see. This is Comet Lemon. So I don't know if you had the opportunity to see Comet Lemon last night. Some of these comets are visible with binoculars if you just look outside late at night and you have a clear view with dark skies. But you'll notice, look at all the other streaks in the sky. Comet Lemon, very prominent in the sky, but so are all these other streaks. And do you know what these other streaks are? The majority of these other streaks? Starlink. Oh, yeah. Astronomers are not very happy with Starlink because of the amount of, well, as you can see right here, the distortion you get when you look in the skies, hoping to find something else. You see a bunch of streaks of Starlink, although the internet's pretty good. I got to say, the internet's pretty good. But this is Comet Lemon, C2025 A6. Massive, incredible. Now, did you hear about this? Michio Kaku is also jumping on the potential for 3i Atlas to be an alien craft. He's not saying it is, but he's saying there's things we need to look out for. And this is a very mysterious object. As the mystery behind Comet 3i Atlas, the third interstellar interloper to visit our solar system, continues, there's a fringe group of astrophysicists that say it could potentially be an extraterrestrial visitor. So if you go to Michio Kaku's post on X, his name, man. 3i Atlas is a mystery interstellar object noted for its hyperbolic path towards the sun and very high speed relative to the solar system. In mere days, 3i Atlas promises to yield new information and perhaps new questions. I appeared on Newsmax to discuss these developments. And he basically says that if this thing slows down, or if we can see more energy when it gets close to the sun, if we can see more energy being emitted, then there's a strong possibility that this could be an interstellar craft. Now, as much as I want to say, hey, you know what? It's probably just a space rock or this incredible anomaly from billions and billions and billions of years ago, it does have the potential for being a spacecraft. I mean, the nickel alloy composition, the orbit maneuvering, the weird anti-tail turning into a tail, all these different signatures, the orbit, the size, etc. It's pretty weird. It's pretty weird. And it's not just Professor Loeb, and it's not just Michio Kaku suggesting that it could be an alien spacecraft. There's more scientists out there, like my friend Greg Allison, who is an aerospace engineer, a rocket scientist. He's a genius. He's also a homesteader, and he's very humble, and he's very down to earth, but he's very, very smart. He shared with us just the other day, based upon his math and his data, very similar to Professor Loeb. So what if this thing is a spacecraft? Well, if it is a spacecraft, we're going to know, or we should know, within the next couple of weeks, based upon its orbit, where it goes, what it does, and when it comes back from around the sun. Now, recently, Professor Loeb was interviewed, and in the interview, he had brought up how somebody had contacted him saying that he was trading and making trades, like big trades, based on the position of this interstellar object. And Professor Loeb made the comment that if you're going to take a vacation before October 29th, because around that time is when it's going to get its closest to the sun. And that's where we're going to find out, or when we should find out, if this thing is an extraterrestrial spacecraft based upon its maneuvering. And if it is an alien spacecraft and we find that out, around the 29th, then things are going to be like, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Just think about that for a minute. We're being visited from an alien spacecraft. What would that do to the markets? And some people are questioning, could this create a black swan event? And I can understand why they're questioning that and why they've got that in mind. Now, let's say it's just a comet. What if the comet moves orbit, or something causes this comet to change position? We could potentially see some problems in the skies based upon its plasma tail, this massive tail. So 3i Atlas. Now, this is Oumuamua. I'm bringing up Oumuamua again because in 2017, it made headlines. It was making the rounds in the news. People were discussing, based upon its trajectory and shooting from deep space coming into our solar system, that it could be some type of like scout craft. And you know what? I think it potentially could be. What's very odd is the lack of data that we have on this, the lack of images, the lack of video footage. This is some of the footage we have. This little dot right here. The first known interstellar object, Oumuamua, appeared to be a naked space rock, but 2i Borisov bears the unusual characteristics of a comet. It's cloaked in a halo of vaporizing gas and trailing a gaseous tail in its wake. So Oumuamua is so weird, right? Like, and look at this image. This is a stacked image in the R band of Oumuamua. We're not getting much. This is from the Canada, France, Hawaii telescopes. These are images of Oumuamua. So we have very little to go on when it comes to Oumuamua. We have very little to go on when it comes to 3i Atlas. Why is that? What is really going on? Need more input. Number 5 is alive. So I found this on 3i Atlas. And this is bizarre. This is like something out of a science fiction novel. Once again, look at this. SETI post-detection protocols. Progress towards a new version. Michael Garrett, Catherine Denning, Leslie Tennant, Carol Oliver. This is about 3i Atlas. The International Academy of Astronautics SETI committee has long provided guiding principles for responding to a potential detection of a SETI signal. The Foundation Declaration of Principles concerning activities following the detection of extraterrestrial intelligence, first formulated in 1989. It's been widely recognized by the international scientific community, and a supplemental set of draft protocols addressing the possibility of a reply to an extraterrestrial signal was prepared in 1995 by the IAA SETI Permanent Committee, with both documents presented in a position paper to the UN Committee on Peaceful Uses of Outer Space in 2000. In keeping with the evolving landscape of SETI research, the IAA Declaration of Principles was streamlined and updated in 2010, recognizing the need for continued adaptation. The IAA SETI committee established a task group in 2022 to re-examine the protocols in light of recent advances in search methodologies, the expansion of international participation in SETI, and the increasing complexity of the global information environment. The group recognizes the living document nature of the protocols, which will require ongoing refinement to remain relative and effective in a rapidly changing world. So, a preliminary report was presented in 23, International Astronautical Congress in Baku, outlining proposed revisions. A draft revised Declaration of Principles was presented at the IAC in 2024 in Milan, and initial feedback was received from the community, particularly members of the IAA SETI committee. Since then, we have continued to seek broader community input in a structured process, refining the proposed updates based on further discussions and consultations. At the IAC in 2025 in Sydney, we intend to present the outcomes of this process, including a new draft of the revised Declaration of Principles, which will also be submitted to the IAA SETI committee at its annual meeting during the Congress. So basically, they're talking about changing the protocols for extraterrestrial disclosure. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Now, a very interesting, let me see. This was 3i Atlas plasma. Where did that PDF paper go? Yep, here it is. Check this out. This is also another very interesting right here. Oh, man. Stand by. Almost got it. Here we go. Okay. Very interesting paper. And this is from Andrew Collins. 3i Atlas, the third interstellar visitor to visit our neighborhood after Oumuamua and 2i Borisov, is behaving even more weird and odd than its predecessors. It has displayed a number of puzzling characteristics previously unseen in connection with the appearance of comets. Astronomers attribute these anomalies to the extremely ancient nature of the object, while Professor Loeb of Harvard University and his supporters advised caution, suggesting 3i Atlas could be alien tech. We look at these strange anomalies, which include 3i Atlas absorbing a coronal mass ejection, and propose that it is on the one hand natural, while on the other an intelligent plasma-based life form. Whoa. Whoa. Okay, let's go into that. The passerby, or the strange case of 3i Atlas. Is it a plasma-based life form? This is the article right here, or the white paper, I should say, the paper from Andrew Collins. And let's look into this for a minute. Let's just look at all the data that presents itself to see if we can figure out what's really going on. So the abstract, 3i Atlas. Yeah, we went over that. Astronomers attribute these anomalies to the extremely ancient nature of this object. Professor Loeb of Harvard and his supporters advised caution, suggesting that 3i Atlas could be alien tech. We look at the strange anomalies, like 3i Atlas absorbing a coronal mass ejection, and propose that it is on one hand natural, while on the other hand an intelligent plasma-based life form. The strange behavior of 3i Atlas since it was first recorded entering the inner solar system by the NASA-funded asteroid terrestrial impact last alert system Atlas. That's why it's called 3i Atlas. And that's in Chile. It was discovered July 1st, sets it apart from the previous two interstellar objects spotted in our skies over the past decade. Its hyperbolic trajectory coinciding with the path of the planets, its scheduled rendezvous with three of them, its curious anti-tail, its strange composition, the unique polarization of light within its coma, all tell us we're dealing with an object not entirely understood by science. 3i Atlas is a weird acting exocomet of unusual composition, or are we looking at an alien spacecraft? 3i Atlas simply is a weird exocomet of purely natural origin, or should we consider it alien tech? Such a view is supported by the theory of panspecium, a philosophical concept arguing, okay, let me go back. What if 3i Atlas can be described as a half and half? In other words, a natural comet that is also a non-biological life form. Such a view is supported by the theory of panspeciism, a philosophical concept arguing that everything in the universe, including stars and planets, have their own consciousness. Indeed, this is the opinion of biologist Rupert Sheldrake, who writes that the sun and even perhaps the supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way could be sentient beings. Can this list also include exocomets like 3i Atlas? In some ancient cultures, comets were seen as evidence of the presence in our skies of supernatural tricksters, such as the wolf and fox. Comets were also often deemed omens of ill luck and even of impending doom. This shows us that in the past, celestial visitors like comets were considered life forms in their own right, something that is likely to have been the case since the Paleolithic age. Strange anomalies. Among the strange anomalies reported in connection with 3I Atlas is the fact that it is entering our solar system at extremely high speeds, a low retrograde path within 5 degrees of the ecliptic plane. This is the flat disc-like path taken by the planets as they revolve around the sun. A specific trajectory like this allows 3I Atlas to make close passes of 3 planets, Mars, Venus, and Jupiter, although not Earth. An extraordinary achievement that, if planned, would have required precision timing. This is a 1668 woodcut image showing a comet as a harbinger of doom. This is the hyperbolic trajectory through the inner solar system of 3I Atlas. We've looked at the sun-facing tail. We've already checked that out, and that is very odd. What else we got? All right. So I find that weird. Very, very odd. And like, could you imagine if this thing is sentient and it's trapped? I mean, wow. So cool. All right. So this is also some very interesting information to share. Let me pull this up for you. Boom. Okay. This is why October 29th is a key date for 3I Atlas. This is when it reaches perihelion, its closest point to the sun. This event is significant for scientists because the intense solar radiation at perihelion will allow them to study its behavior under extreme conditions, providing insights into its composition and potentially revealing whether it's a natural object or something artificial. If the object shows signs of artificial propulsion, such as an unexpected change in speed or trajectory, it could be considered evidence of non-human technology. Yes, I'm excited. I mean, I, for one, am looking forward to welcoming our overlords. Like, ack, we come in peace, we come in Jeep. So 29th will be its closest approach to the sun, a distance of 1.36 astronomical units, give or take. Unlike typical comets, 3I Atlas has shown remarkable stable movement, leading to speculation that it may not be a natural object. Remarkably stable movement. Keep that in mind. That's a big deal. The science critical observation window. Scientists are closely monitoring the object during this period to see how it reacts to the sun's radiation. They will be observing if its path follows natural orbital mechanics or shows signs of artificial propulsion. The perihelion is seen as a crucial test for the object's true nature. A change in speed or direction that defies natural laws could provide the first evidence of alien technology or technology not created by humans. If you're just joining us, Michio Kaku has also said that that time frame will be key because we will be able to, to see its maneuvering and study the radiation signatures. So if you're going to take a vacation, you better hurry because you've only got 2 days and you better make it a weekend getaway. Come on over to Colorado. We'll go biking. This is Oumuamua. So like the images we have of Oumuamua still to this day, very, very minimal. We have very little data of Oumuamua. I wouldn't be surprised if this is a big if, but if 3I Atlas is actually an alien spacecraft, Oumuamua was probably a scout that got here first to check up on things. And it like says like, yes, you must go to Earth now. They are building weapons of mass destruction and they are getting ready to travel space. We can't have that. We can't have that. And this is also very odd, folks. This is very odd. This is, I'm gonna jump into a different topic for a minute. We're gonna get back to 3i Atlas here shortly. But there is an app called Enigma. It's a UFO reporting app. It monitors unusual aerial activity. And they receive reports of objects emerging from bodies of water, also traveling underwater. And Enigma has recently released a collection that serves as a repository for these reports. It includes history of anomalous underwater potential UAPs or UFOs. And this is the map. So off the coast here, there has the U.S. coast, there's been over 9,000 reports of UFOs. Many of these are shooting out of the water and back into the water. And many of these reports are also close to large bodies of water. Now, there have been people in the past, very high-level officials, defense contractors, military personnel, super rich, and they've came out and they've said, yes, there are extraterrestrial beings on the planet right now. They have bases inside of mountains, in cavities inside of mountains, and under the ocean, and in large bodies of water. Well, now we've got actual data showing us where over 9,000 reports of these UFOs have happened just off the coast. There's over 30,000 reports worldwide, and 9,000 of these reports, 9,000 just off the coast in the US. Now, if that doesn't, like, I just don't know how much more data people need when it comes to either a breakaway civilization or an extraterrestrial technology. This is either from a breakaway civilization or extraterrestrials. Now, could a lot of these sightings be military? Absolutely. But it's reverse engineered tech from something far older, in my opinion. And that's pretty wild. This is also pretty wild. And if you're just joining us, thank you very much for being here with us. We just went over 3i Atlas, and we're going to be getting back into that in a minute, but I wanted to share some more news today that I thought was very important. Over 30 arrested, including NBA stars in FBI's illegal gambling probe. The NBA is reeling from a pair of gambling and sports betting scandals. Federal authorities allege an NBA player, ex-player, current coach, and others were involved in a years-long gambling scheme. And that doesn't surprise me. Does it surprise you? So anyway, that was just a quick news article. Now, this is very weird. Cape Coral residents see mysterious green flight lasers. So there's airplanes flying over people's houses, and it's emitting this weird green laser scan. What the hell is it? Casey Sutton was driving home from work in Cape Coral Sunday night when she saw an airplane overhead. It wasn't your typical flight pattern either. It was going back and forth with a laser beam. It scanned over me multiple times, Sutton said. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Sutton saw the plane for hours around midnight Sunday. Philip Bergoglio and his wife, Lisa, saw the plane the same day in their backyard only a few hours earlier. When it came by, you can see the green laser spread out like it was mapping the area. It kept going in a north-south direction, Philip said, and it would just go farther to west. It kept going north and then south, and then it came back. So what is it? Well, if you go to the New York Post, this is talking about those green lights off the coast and all those UAP sightings. Where's this at? I had this info. Here we go. I wanted to give you more info on this. Okay, so they're now launching airplanes over people's houses in suburbs with LiDAR systems. Residents reported seeing low-flying planes with scanning green laser beam patterns over their homes, streets, and backyards. The exact contractor wasn't specified, The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers uses such technology for coastal surveys, and it's not affiliated with the city. So we've got airplanes literally flying over houses now with LiDAR systems. What are they doing? What is going on? Why do they need to do that? And I mean, talk about a bit eerie, Lake Erie, a bit eerie. While the specific entity was not identified, it is not affiliated with the city of Cape Coral, the county, or other local authorities. They're saying the plane wasn't. The plane is conducting an aerial survey. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, for example, used the same technology. Yeah, but that's not who they said did it. What is going on? Weird. And airports are still being shut down based upon these mystery drones, folks. Like, that didn't stop. The amount of mystery drones reported has substantially dropped, but the highly sensitive locations like military sites and airports are still being swarmed with drones in different places. So that's pretty odd. What is going on there? Okay. Now, this is also very odd. This Hurricane Melissa, there was a tropical storm for days. This hurricane that's a tropical storm for days, it's moving about 3 miles an hour. It was moving at about 3 miles an hour as it was a tropical storm for days. Now, this tropical storm is just west of where the U.S. military is stockpiling jets, planes, aircraft carriers, amphibious ships, troops. I mean, they're stocking up out there off the coast. We're getting ready to go into Venezuela, folks. Unless something drastic changes, we're probably going to go to war with Venezuela. Probably. That's not confirmed, but it looks like right now they're ready to go. And so I find it perfect timing that you've got this major tropical storm just west of where all of our troops are loading up that's there for days. And then boom, now it could be the strongest hurricane to ever hit Jamaica. We're talking class 5 hurricane. Boom. October 27th. Hurricane Melissa, extremely dangerous Category 5 storm in the Caribbean, threatening a historic and catastrophic landfall on Jamaica. This storm has undergone extreme rapid intensification and over very warm waters is moving very slowly, which increases the potential for devastating rainfall and storm surge. Category 5, the highest level on the Saffir-Simpson scale, sustained winds of at least 160 miles an hour. The storm's core is located south of Jamaica. It's moving slowly westward. It's forecast to make an abrupt turn towards the island with landfall expected tomorrow. After hitting Jamaica, the storm is forecast to move towards Cuba, the Bahamas as well, with hurricane warnings issued for parts of both regions. While it will not directly hit the mainland U.S., Melissa's moisture is expected to fuel a serious separate storm that could dump heavy rain on the mid-Atlantic and the New England later this week. Also, don't forget about the atmospheric rivers that are supposed to hit the West Coast. Mother Nature's doing its best to get our attention. Are we listening? Jamaica could be the biggest storm in modern history to hit the island directly. Rainfall 15 to 30 inches. Isolated areas could reach up to 40 inches of rain, expected to cause life-threatening flash flooding and landslides. A life-threatening storm surge of up to 13 feet is forecast for the southern coast. Destructive winds exceeding 160 miles an hour will cause extensive damage, potentially long-lasting power outages. The slow-moving storm has already killed at least 4 people and caused significant flooding and damage in Hispaniola. Torrential rains and landslides are expected to continue. Eastern Cuba and the Bahamas. These areas are under watches and warnings and should expect significant rainstorm surge, strong winds as the storm passes. Hurricane Melissa has doubled in strength over the weekend. a process of extreme rapid intensification that is becoming more frequent due to rising ocean temperatures driven by climate change. Melissa is the third Category 5 storm of 2025 Atlantic season, making it the second most active season on record for top-tier hurricanes after the 2005 season. So it went from a tropical storm to a hurricane in 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours. Winds increased from 70 to 75 miles an hour, just the beginning of its rapid intensification. Here is the current satellite data on Melissa, as you can see right here. So just west of Haiti and the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. Oh, gee, what's down there? Venezuela. I'm telling you. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. We're going to get into this in a moment. The SNAP benefits being dropped November 1st. And I'm wondering if that is actually another reason why the National Guard is being deployed in large cities. Is it for more than just protesters, potentially civil unrest? What happens when 40 million plus people can't get access to food that has been given to them for who knows how long? Now they're not going to have it. What are they going to do? Well, there's already videos coming out of large supermarkets with new armed security guards in hopes of preventing any serious burglaries. So anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. This is from telegraph.co.uk. Telegraph.co.uk. The news article is titled, "The Real Reason Trump is Preparing for War with Venezuela. Aim of New Campaign Against Cartels is in part to rid America's backyard of Chinese influence," says the article. And it's interesting. This article is really interesting because it makes a lot of sense when, okay, so there's a guy by the name of John Perkins. I interviewed him years ago. He wrote a book called something like along the lines of the, what was it called again? The Economic Hitman or something? John Perkins, The Economic Hitman. Yeah. Confessions of an Economic Hitman, John Perkins. Good interview. It's actually a really good interview. I need to go back and listen to that. But he talked about how certain clandestine operations will, if there's a leader, a national leader that is not in the best interests of other interests, and if he isn't willing to play ball with big players, then attempts are made to get rid of him. If they can't get rid of him, then, through various means like things I don't really need to say here. I'm sure you can figure it out yourself. If they can't get rid of that person, the final result, one of the last cards that is played is war. So if you look at Maduro, I think that's his name, Maduro, Venezuela. Maduro. Venezuela's Maduro says the U.S. is fabricating a war and seeks to revoke citizenship of opponent. So it doesn't seem like we want this guy in power right now. And the U.S. is stacking. They are loading up out there in Venezuela, just outside of Venezuela. I mean, the amount of military hardware out there right now is almost unprecedented. The last time we've had that much military personnel out there and hardware it's been over 20 years. So like what's out there right now? Let me share that with you. Where's it at here? Thought I had some information on that. Yeah, here we go. Check this out. What the heck? There we go. All right. All right. As of right now, we've got the USS Gerald Ford Carrier Strike Group. It is a flagship aircraft carrier. We've got USS Gravely, the USS Jason Dunham, the USS Samson, the USS Iwo Jima, USS San Antonio, USS Fort Lauderdale. These are amphibious ready groups, surface combatants, carrier strike group, a submarine, USS Newport News, Los Angeles class. We've got B-52s, F-35Bs, P-8As, MH-60s, MH-6 Helios, U.S. Special Operations Command South on the ground, or for the ground, I should say, for the ground, 10,000 personnel, Navy, Marines, Air Force. These are some of the support sites: Puerto Rico, Trinidad, Tobago, Panama Canal Zone, Aruba. This is the largest U.S. concentration of naval and air assets near Venezuela since 2003. And the public rationale: counter narcotics and regional security. Yeah. Well, regional security. And I mean, technically counter narcotics. Yeah. But, you know, what's the bigger picture here, Bob? So carriers, amphibious, ready group, bomber flights. Venezuela forces have counter-deployed 25,000 troops and naval units along its coast. They've also came out and said they've got 5,000 approximately missiles from Russia, some of those being some of those powerful missiles available. So, yeah, it's pretty intense out there right now. But we're just getting drug smugglers, man. That's all we're doing. It's just the drug smugglers. We got to keep America safe, man. We got to keep America safe. Again, keep America safe. All right, here we go. Check this out. Boom. Look at this. This could get nasty, especially considering it's over 40 million people that are used to getting these benefits. SNAP funding expiration set to hit 40 million people. This is just in a few days. You don't think that's going to cause some civil unrest? Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they figured out a solution to fund these SNAP benefits before they expire. I wouldn't be surprised. I also wouldn't be surprised if they didn't. And can you imagine how many people are going to go to the streets and how many, like, what do you think is going to happen in these big cities that have tens of thousands of people that get these food stamps? And now they don't have food. They're going to get grumpy. They're going to get angry. And they're probably going to do stuff that's illegal. So I don't know how nasty it's going to get. I hope things calm down, but I am foreseeing the potential for serious problems in big cities. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's why the National Guard is being deployed in so many cities. Like, they're looking long term. They're not just thinking short term. They're not just thinking like, okay, we've got some protesters out here right now. They're thinking long term. If you've got 50,000 people going to the streets and they're hungry, like really hungry and pissed off, and they don't have anything to lose, well, need I say more? As of late October 2025, National Guard troops are deployed in several U.S. cities, including Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., and Memphis. The deployments were ordered by President Donald Trump, who federalized troops in response to protests related to immigration enforcement. These deployments have been met with legal challenges and local resistance. Yeah, well, it's going to get a lot more than that pretty soon. Another thing that I wanted to mention, which is really interesting, is there's a certain, what's it called here? Let me pull this up. Found this very interesting in response to, dang it. I'll pull it up right here. So the article is titled, "The Real Reason Trump is Preparing for War with Venezuela." And then it goes on to say, by this week, he's ordered his 10th strike on boats carrying drugs north, each one accompanied by a grainy video circulated far and wide. It's his narco-terrorism package. The strikes on drug boats can be traced to one of the unusually large fleets of U.S. warships, drones, and troops that has converged off Venezuela's coast in recent weeks. 8 warships, 3 destroyers, 3 amphibious assault ships, a cruiser, and a smaller combat ship now make up the largest U.S. military presence in the region in decades, joined by a squadron of F-35B Lightning II jets, a handful of Reaper drones capable of flying long distance, carrying up to 8 laser-guided missiles. B-2 bombers have been spotted off the coast. Do you think that's all for some drug smugglers, folks? Like, seriously? I mean, if you do, that's okay. I'm just wondering. But on Friday, President Trump announced the USS Gerald Ford, the Navy's newest aircraft carrier, was also en route to the territory. It's interesting because I'm reading this article, and in the article it says on Friday, Mr. Trump announced. It doesn't say on Friday, President Trump announced. Interesting, like these little word, they take out little words and stuff like that. Anyway, do you see where I'm going with that? It is quite the counter-narcotics operation. The sheer scale of the fleet has convinced Venezuelans that President Trump is in fact preparing a ground assault. They call them Mr. Trump again, not President Trump, which is odd. The deployment to the Caribbean is far beyond what you would need to conduct occasional strikes on vessels allegedly smuggling drugs. Brian Finucane, a former State Department lawyer who is now senior advisor at the International Crisis Group, explained. It is a show of force, saber-rattling, gunboat policy intended to put pressure on Mr. Maduro, with the goal of forcing him to step down and convince him to step down and take a golden exit. If that fails, emboldening those in his government who might topple him. The aspiration for regime change is hardly hidden. President Trump has linked Mr. Maduro's regime with criminal cartels and approved the CIA to conduct covert missions. He doesn't want to F around with the United States, the president warned recently, a line as much for Caracas as for many other adversaries. Here, this is the part I was looking for. Declaring war could help with the revival of the Alien Enemies Act, last used to intern Japanese, German, and Italian nationals during World War II, to detain and deport Venezuelan nationals en masse. Under the 17th century law, a president can target citizens of a hostile nation in times of declared war, or if an enemy government mounts an invasion or predatory incursion. Early in his second term, the president dusted off the wartime law, but was later blocked by the Court of Appeal. The 2 architects of the Venezuela campaign are Marco Rubio and, interestingly, Stephen Miller, the man known as Trump's brain on all things immigration. The Don Roe Doctrine. Venezuela, under Mr. Maduro, who now has a $50 million bounty on his head, has become something of an open shop for American adversaries. China poured millions into Venezuelan oil projects and loans, while Russia has armed Mr. Maduro with Sukhoi fighter jets, helicopters, tanks, and air defense systems. Experts say President Trump's push into the region is part of an attempt to revive the Monroe Doctrine, the 19th century principle that views Latin America as America's backyard and that declares the Western Hemisphere as off limits to adversaries. Then you've got Project 2025. The Trump long-thought blueprint for his second term calls it re-hemisphering. Interesting. Reorganization. It's just reorganization. We're just reorganizing National Guard in big cities before we take away food stamps of 40 million people. We care. We love you so much. What am I looking for here? I've got more data I'd like to share with you. All right. So if you're just joining us, let's jump back over to 3i Atlas. 3i Atlas. This is from Unilad. Terrifying update on mysterious object aiming at Earth that Harvard scientist claims is not natural. While many say it's a comet, other scientists who have been following its movements have determined it to be behaving strangely and not a normal object. In particular, one scientist has claimed it could even be an alien mothership, with a few key differences which he claims are not natural, such as releasing a metal compound never before seen in nature or the trajectory of its particles. Now, this is interesting because Professor Loeb, from the paper that I read, he was giving it a 4 on a scale from 0 to 10. 0 is absolutely natural. 10 is absolutely technology. In this article, it says, taking to his Medium blog, he wrote, I suggested a Loeb scale for interstellar objects where 0 is definitely a natural object, comet or asteroid, and 10 is definitely a technological object. And that is identified by maneuvers or emissions of artificial light or signals. Currently, I give 3i Atlas a 6 on that scale, but my assessment will change as we get better data on it when it comes closer to the sun. But Loeb has now said that this could be indicative of controlled maneuvering as well as the probability of a high-impact black swan event through what he describes as an O-berth maneuver where it uses the sun's gravity to alter its course. In previous question and answer sessions, he said that from an engineer's perspective, a mothership that releases many probes would perform this maneuver to slow down at perihelion and intercept Earth, taking advantage of the sun's gravitational assist, though this would depend on the mass of the many probes. As of now, I assign a 30 to 40% likelihood that 3i Atlas does not have a fully natural origin, Loeb wrote on his blog. This low probability scenario includes the possibility of a black swan event akin to a Trojan horse where a technological object masquerades as a natural comet. Regardless of what the object is, the International Asteroid Warning Network has added 3i Atlas to its list for further scientific monitoring, as they said on their website that while it poses no threat, it gives a great opportunity for observation. Wow. This is the campaign. Let's take a look at this. Have you seen this yet? So IAWN, what does that stand for? That stands for International Asteroid Warning Network. And I love the beginning of this. I love the beginning because they have to let you know right up front that it poses no threat. But it is a part of the International Asteroid Warning Network. So wait a second. Warning Network, no threat. Warning Network, no threat. Okay. Would you like to buy a timeshare? I have a timeshare for sale. Are you interested? The maintenance fees go up every year. You'll never be able to use it. And it's way more expensive than vacationing on your own. But you want this timeshare. And I hope you know I'm being facetious. Okay. While it poses no threat, they say, Comet 3i Atlas presents a great opportunity for the International Asteroid Warning Network community to perform an observing exercise due to its prolonged observation from Earth and high interest to the scientific community. Well, what about all the other, can we see some other footage? Can we see the high-rise images? Can we see the latest satellite data? Can we see the latest telescope data, please? Or are you just going to show us more artist renditions of flying space turds like you did Oumuamua? I mean, doesn't that piss you off? The billions and billions and billions of dollars that these space agencies get, they show us artist renditions and artificial intelligence images. It took you $50 billion to show us that artist rendition. Seriously? And that artist was probably making like $25 an hour. And he probably just gets part-time. And they probably laid him off anyway. He was probably on SNAP benefits because he couldn't afford food because he's doing the artwork for these space agencies that are getting billions of dollars. Welcome to Earth, folks, where they love you so much. I divert attention. This 3i Atlas campaign is the 8th IAWN observing exercise since 2007. The International Asteroid Warning Network holds these exercises roughly once a year. IAWN has been planning to do a fall 2025 comet campaign since 24 to exercise capabilities for measuring the position of comets, which pose additional astrometric challenges as they appear as fuzzy extended objects compared to point-like asteroids in a telescope's field of view. Comets present unique challenges for accurate astrometric measurements and orbit predictions. Cometary bodies are extended with morphological features, like comas and tails, that can systematically pull their centroid measurements off their central brightness peak, presenting challenges to estimate comet trajectories. So they're asking for your help. The International Asteroid Warning Network announces a comet campaign from November 27th through January 27th of next year to introduce methods for improving astrometry from comet observations. The campaign will target Comet 3I Atlas to exercise the capability of the observing community to extract accurate astrometry. To prepare for the campaign, we will hold a workshop on techniques to correctly measure comet astrometry. You can register right here. You have to register by the 7th of November for the workshop, and only those participants that attend the workshop can participate in the campaign. I'm going to apply for this, folks, because I would like to be able to get as much information as I can and share it with you. Only those with an active MPC code for their observatory are invited to participate. Oh, I need an observatory? Well, hey, I've got an 8-inch Me telescope, dual mount. It's pretty nice. Will that work? I've got solar filters. I've got all the good stuff. So 3I Atlas Comet Astrometry Campaign. Deadline, November 7th. The workshops, November 10th. The campaign kickoff, November 25th. The observing window opens November 27th. So we should expect to see a plethora of new information and images and footage after the 27th, I would think. The mid-campaign check-in is December 9th, and the observing window closes January 27th. I wonder why they picked those dates. Just wondering. Observers should calibrate their timing systems using navigation systems, check system timing accurately. So this is the International Asteroid Warning Network. 2024 YR4 is also a part of this. They're saying that there's approximately a 4% chance it will hit the moon, but now only a 0.004% chance it will hit Earth. They're still talking about nuking it, though. Seriously. Scientists have been debating whether they should nuke Y4R or not. And they've talked about nuking it to move its trajectory and nuking it to blow it up. But then what would happen? Could be even worse then, potentially. Check this out. Okay. The Monte Carlo modeling of 2024 YR4's swath of possible locations. We have a 1.2% probability of impact. January 27th didn't happen. February didn't happen. 3.1% probability. So good. We're still here. All right. See if I got any more news for you, folks. If you're just joining us once again, the CCOR-1 coronagraph on board NOAA's GOES 19 satellite is tracking 3I Atlas, they say, monitoring its brightness. This was the path close to the sun, as you can see from the NOAA CCOR imaging. The 24th, it was right there, so it's probably right around here now. This is Swan, Comet Swan with a bunch of Starlink streaks around it. Michio Kaku is also getting on the bandwagon, saying that, you want to keep close eye on 3I Atlas, especially around the 29th of October, because we could potentially see it doing different maneuvers at that point. If we do, buckle up, Buttercup. Get ready for your world to change. This is his post right here on X. So, National Guard on the troops. National Guards on the streets. Potential troops on the streets. The Marines could potentially be on the streets soon. Do you remember back in the day when the theories going around about civil unrest in the States, the United Nations were actually going to be used? I don't see that right now at all. I don't see, the United Nations has their own problems, but to use the National Guard to quell civil unrest, especially if there's going to be major protests after this food snaps benefit cut, November 1st. That's the date I'm looking for. Like, I'm looking to see what's going to happen right around then. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that if 3i Atlas does show signs of artificial intelligence, whether it's some type of intelligence itself or being controlled by extraterrestrials, do you think they're going to tell us? Or do you think they're going to delay that as long as they can? And why are they delaying these high-rise images? Why, as Greg Allison pointed out the other day, those images, like a lot of the people that are working on the high-rise are actually working for the University of Arizona. So bizarre. So we'll keep you posted. Thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you have a beautiful day. Hit the bell, be well, and be the change you want to see. And you're awesome.